Alert's mission is to forge extraordinary men who will influence their world for Christ.
And our goal is to create men who are spiritually sound, physically fit, and ready to serve.
We do this in a number of different ways. Number one, we offer an intense discipleship program. So older men mentoring younger men. Number two, we do training. So we offer our guys training in all sorts of different vocations to give them skills that they can go actually out and use. And then we try to focus on service, that the skills we give them and even the discipleship that we give them is not for them, but for other people. So training these guys to go out and do something with both the spiritual skills we've given them and the practical skills we've given them. Discipleship, training for a life of service.
We start with a military-style boot camp and then roll into second phase, which is an emergency response training and a personal development program. And then from there, we go to our vocational SEALs training. So we offer an EMT program, fire academy, a rope rescue program, flight program, scuba program. Those are all certified programs. And then we have missions program, leadership and communications, and our practical leadership training. And each of those are just our own programs, so they don't have an outside certification with them. As part of all of that, we use a military-style structure. We use intentional discipleship, incorporate crazy, awesome experiences, and we have very professional skills training.
First phase here at the Academy is called basic training. It's the groundwork for everything else we do here. Every single alert guy has to go through basic training. It's a physically and mentally intense boot camp. It's a gut check for all young men. It's a wake-up call for them to realize that they can do more than they ever thought they could, that life is not about them.
And the guys really learn how to depend on God. A lot of times that's all you have in basic training, and so they really learn to depend on God as they go through those difficult and challenging circumstances. Really what we're trying to accomplish is personal spiritual growth. We want guys to see a lot more of who they are, and as they see who they are, maybe realize the gap between where they are and where they should be. That can provide the groundwork for a lot more growth in the continuing phases of alert.
In second phase, after we've given the men their gut check and they've woken up to the reality of life, now it's time to set the cement. So we've broken up the cement in first phase, and now we're repouring it in second phase. We're helping these guys take the things they learned in basic and actually implement them in their lives, whether it's the self-discipline, whether it's internal and external motivation, whether it's self-control, whether it's good habits and good practices, taking the things that they were learned in basic training and making them a reality in second phase.
We use a lot of different skills training, so it could be everything from rope rescue to scuba diving, even over on the side of worldview and apologetics. One of the strengths of alert skills training is that we put a large focus on the hands-on aspect. And so not only will the guys get the knowledge that they need to pass tests, but they're also going to get a lot of chances to actually work those out in the field. If they're learning how to assess a patient, then they'll go out later in the day and they'll actually practice assessing patients. Hopefully a lot of new environments that they haven't experienced before. And as they work through those, as they face new situations and new scenarios, as they learn new skills to apply to those scenarios, it helps to develop their critical thinking so that as they're faced with a new problem that they haven't ever experienced before, they'll be better able to face that.
Third phase is the final phase for men in training before they graduate. That's where we get into the meat of the actual skills training that we have to offer here. The guys will spend 12 weeks in their chosen vocational training. That is a wide variety of things we offer here. They dive deep into those areas of study.
The structure is a little bit different in that we always have smaller classes for third phase. And so that gives the instructor more ability to invest personally into the students, to be able to know them more individually and meet their individual needs. And a lot of that happens as we're going on trips or we're just doing life together, or on a break from class or different things like that. It gives the instructor that chance to personally invest into the students in a unique way. There's a progression throughout alert. In basic training, things are very structured, and so there are very few distractions in basic training, and there's also a lot of challenges in basic training, and so those two factors together make just a really good environment where a guy spends time with God, gets close to God, cries out to God a lot, spends time in the Bible. In second phase, the guys have more free time. They have the ability to choose more what they're going to do with their time. And so they need to start taking a little bit more ownership of themselves, their own spiritual growth. We have the guys set goals, and so they're going to say, okay, here's an area that I want to grow in. Here's my goal, some specifics of how they actually want to accomplish that goal, and then they're going to be working toward that, and each week we'll check in. Okay, your goal was to grow in this area, how are you doing in that? Those different factors help them to take more personal ownership of their spiritual growth. Hopefully they can start to make some of their spiritual life their own, rather than it just being kind of pressed upon them from the structure. I think of Alert kind of like a greenhouse, and so in some ways we've optimized the environment here to allow for really fast growth. And the goal is so that as they grow through the phases, they're also growing personally and learning how to establish their own disciplines, so that when they leave here after 9 months, they can go and be intentional about influencing the people around them, about establishing disciplines in their own life, and really about being a strong soldier who does influence his world for Christ.
When men come to the Alert Academy, we want them to have a life-transforming experience from the inside out, so that once they've received a year of training here, they can go out and influence their worlds for the cause of Christ. If there was ever a time in our nation's history where our country and the world needed young men at their best, it's today. So, if this is something that you want, a life-changing experience and a community of like-minded men, then join us as we seek to forge extraordinary men who will influence their world for Christ. We are the Alert Academy, and we forge men.